Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the tech issues, but it happens to the best of us. So, welcome to Learning Outside of the Box, the Homeschooling Chronicles. So, I am Coach Sakile. I am the founder of this amazing group, Black Homeschoolers Unite, and the host of the podcast, Learning Outside the Box. So, family, as a wife and mother of six amazing world schooling children, I have embarked on an incredible homeschooling journey that has transformed our lives into a mind expanding, family bonding, and self exploratory adventure. And let me tell you, it's a journey I wouldn't trade for the world. With over 2 decades of homeschooling experience, we've had the privilege of assisting over 7,000 families on their homeschooling and world schooling paths through coaching, consulting, workshops, and more. So, for more information, feel free to we have a free guide for you. It's at www.embraceyourfree. So I'm going to put this at the bottom so you can check it out. Embrace Your Free. So here you can get your free guide to world schooling, and it's been updated for 2024. Additionally, I operate this amazing homeschooling group, and this is for those Black families that are curious about homeschooling or simply want to learn from experienced homeschoolers that are doing amazing things. If that is what you're looking for, you are in the right place. So, learning outside the box is all about celebrating diversity and creativity of Black homeschoolers. And we will showcase a variety of different stories from homeschooling families who have found their own unique path to homeschooling. Because let's face it, when it comes to homeschooling, there's no one size fits all approach to educating your children. And so, through interviews and conversation, we aim to really answer those burning questions that you may have about your homeschooling journey and inspire you to have success down the road. So, without further ado, let's get ready to challenge the status quo, expand your horizons, and embrace the endless possibilities of homeschooling outside the box. So, let's give a warm welcome to Sharon, the amazing eclectic homeschooling mom of three, who is also the primary care provider for her ill parent and is a homeschooling fitness specialist. I know she will answer some of your burning questions and bring so much clarity to you through this conversation. So let's welcome her and give her applause. Miss Sharon, welcome.
Um,
Happy to have you.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here, and I know everybody is happy too. I am excited.
I'm
And I'm like
so
this all the time. I'm
excited.
always on 5,000. I'm always like this.
That is a beautiful thing. I mean, when you're homeschooling, it really helps when you have that energy. But being a fitness specialist, I'm sure it gives you a boost of energy too.
Those
So,
endorphins help. Those
yes, I'm
endorphins.
sure it
Nature's
does.
natural candy and energy right there.
Yes. Exactly. So tell me exactly how many children are you homeschooling and what are their ages?
Three children, 15, soon to be 11 in a couple days, actually, and
Happy
8.
birthday. Nice. So that sounds like you have some fun festivities lined up coming up for your soon to be 11-year-old.
He
So,
doesn't know we're going to Legoland.
oh my
Legoland in New York. We're going to New York. He doesn't know.
Oh, amazing. That's gonna be so much fun. I'm whispering. Like, but
He might
that's
be around the
so
corner. Look at
keep that secret. But that's a lot of fun because it's educational, great for the brain, they're building, and it's just fun, I think, for everyone. I mean, as an adult, maybe forever a child, I still love going there. So,
He told us we went to the Legoland Discovery Center, and that wasn't Legoland, and that
uh,
didn't count.
oh,
So we went
okay,
last year there
touche.
for a homeschool field trip, and he was like, "This wasn't real." It was a
Oh,
grand opening and everything, but he was like, "This wasn't
oh,
real."
he's bougie, a Lego bougie person.
Mhm.
So
Those builders, engineers,
right. Very specific. Like, this
yes.
is exactly what I want. I love it. I love it. I love it. So tell me a little bit about what inspired you to take this road less traveled, deciding to homeschool. What was the inspiration behind it?
I always wanted to homeschool, but I never did it. So I had been talking about it for a couple years, and I was actually knowledgeable enough, even not homeschooling at the time, that I was advising other people of what they could do to homeschool, the different things they could do for curriculum, different ideas, thinking outside of the box, different things like that. And then finally, when everything with COVID happened, that's when it was like, okay, you've been talking about it. Now it's time.
Mhm.
It was so much going on that you didn't know what was going on day to day. You didn't know what was going to happen with testing. You didn't know what was going to happen with vaccines. You didn't know what was going to happen if they were going to be in school one week, not in school the other week. The plans they had for what really took the cake is when my child would have been in pre-K or kindergarten, and they said that the child would have to come to school with one toy, and they when they would play outside, that child would play with the one toy but could not interact with anybody else.
Mm.
And then I asked, what happens if they pull down the mask? Because my children, they like to be outside. They didn't really like masks. They're children. They can't breathe. They
Right.
said if the child pulled down the mask at least 3 times, that you would have to come and get them. I said, oh, this isn't going to work. I'm
Mm.
just going to go ahead and homeschool you all and keep you home because I know the stability I can provide. I know what's going to happen the next day.
Yeah, it sounds like during that time it was a lot of uncertainty for you, and I'm sure a lot of families.
It was.
So that sounds like it was a great choice for your family. So when you did decide to homeschool, what is your homeschooling type? Were you unschooler, Charlotte Mason, Montessori, a little mix of everything,
I
eclectic?
was a
Tell
little,
me about it.
I guess that would be eclectic. I was a little bit of everything because I feel like you have to try things to see what works for your children.
Mhm.
Um, it wasn't too hard of a transition for me to homeschool, I believe, because I was a parent who was already involved in my children's education. So
Mm.
when COVID first happened and people were going crazy, like my child is this, I can't, what's going on? I felt like the people who had less hands-on approach with their children, they were the people that might have struggled a little bit because they had to learn, not that they didn't know their child, but you had to learn your child at home and your child at school are two different people. If you
Mhm.
didn't know, go check them out, go pop in. I was a pop in visit mom.
Oh,
Okay. I
nice. I
was
love
at the school, I was involved, I was on the field trips, I was everywhere. So I
Mhm.
kind of knew, you see, you peek around the corner, like, you went.
Mhm.
So you have to try things out to see what works. The same way with fitness. Keto might work for somebody, but keto might not work for somebody else. HIIT training might work for somebody, but resistance training might work for somebody else. So you don't know until you try. And if you make a mistake, that doesn't mean that you failed. That just means that you're going to learn a little bit more. There's more opportunity there.
Mhm. I love that. So that's a great approach for learning homeschooling and just life in general. If you make a mistake, it's an opportunity for you to grow, to learn. That's how children learn how to walk. They fall, they get back up. They fall, they get back up. Children aren't like, oh, I fell. Oh, well, I give up. I guess someone has to carry me for the rest of my life. No, that's not how life works. You make mistakes and it's an opportunity to grow stronger, to learn more, and to, yeah, be more knowledgeable in that specific area. Like, okay, we know that doesn't work, so let's pivot. What does work? What
And
does fit?
And as you do that, you also introduce them to other things. So I
Mhm.
didn't want my children to be primarily on the computer doing everything. So I
Mm.
had some workbooks, I had some computer things, I had some things I found online, and I even had it where I made up my own sheets. I typed something
Mhm.
up on Microsoft Word. I hand drew some things, made my own cards. So I did a
Right.
little bit of everything. So it would be kind of different. And especially if you're going to be on the go, if you don't want to take the computer, or you said we're going to take the workbook, or we're going to be here today, I made these worksheets for you, or while you're in the car, you can be on this app when we get where we need to go, pull out this book, bring your backpack, go into the library today. So being open to different, having variety of things allows you to be more mobile and
Mhm.
allows you to be able to make your day more productive. Because sometimes
Mhm.
if you stay in one lane, you're going to stay in one lane and you're not going to be able to get things done. Because if they're with
Mhm.
you all the time, you're homeschooling, you're parenting, you're doing everything, you're cooking, they're there, you're schooling, they're there, you go to the bathroom, they're there. You know how it is. So you have you have to make it work.
Absolutely. I love that so much. But yeah, making it work, being flexible, right? Understanding that there's many ways to, like I say, many ways to skin a potato. I don't like the cat thing, but so many ways to skin a potato. And sometimes you have to explore to figure out what works. And like you said, if you want to get things done, you can't just do the things the way that you were doing them before the children were in school. You have to be creative. So I love that. So tell me a little bit about some of the perks and benefits that you've noticed with your family or yourself or your children since you've been homeschooling.
Well, being able to monitor what they're learning and what they're exposed to allows me to be able to parent the way I want to. Sometimes in the public school system, they force some things on you,
Mhm.
or they introduce things before you would want to. So
Mhm.
then you were forced to have conversations that you weren't planning on doing. They come
Mhm.
home talking about this or that, but like, who did you hear that from? Well, Billy said. My daughter
Mm.
came home one day, the little boy told her that boys have periods. I was like, no, no, that's not, this is third grade. I said, no,
That's not
that's not
accurate
right.
at all.
And it's not like she didn't know that, but it's just the influence that
Yeah.
is there. So
Mhm.
I have more control over the influence on my children. The other
Mhm.
perks are when there's family challenges going on, whether you're sick, your husband's sick, a parent is sick, you have that flexibility to be able to extend yourself to family members or friends because you are home. Now, I
Mhm.
will say this for all my friends and family who have children that are in public school, when school was closed or things were crazy, it was like, we're going over to the Hawkins Academy, we're going over to the
Mhm.
Hawkins home. They know that there was stability there. There was somebody that was going to make sure that their child was safe, got everything that they needed. We were able to go where we wanted to, when we wanted
Mhm.
to. We like, y'all want to go to the beach? Y'all want to
Mhm.
go see cousin Tiffany? Y'all want to go to Georgia? Y'all want to go
Right.
here? I don't have to worry about how many days you missed from school because
Right.
you're with me and your attendance is fine. Because when we go to Georgia, we're going to that science center, we're going to the
Mhm.
museum, and
Mhm.
that trip has then turned into homeschool as well. And so that's going to
Absolutely.
be part of my portfolio.
Mhm. Yep.
So the flexibility is, and if I wanted to homeschool that day from 9 to 12, that's fine. If I
Mhm.
wanted to homeschool from 6 to 9, that's
Mhm.
fine. I could make everything work around me. And then having a business as well, I could go teach one of my classes in the middle of the day. My husband works from home, so that helps. He hasn't always worked from home, but um, it just leaves your life open to all types of possibilities
Possibilities. Yes.
and
That's
experiences. I was telling somebody the other day that homeschool children are some of the most cultured children you'll ever meat and
I
have some of the best experiences that you'll ever see.
I
Like, have you
agree.
ever been here? Did you know about this? They're eclectic, okay? Look, look.
That's a true story from my experience, from just experiencing my homeschool children and others' homeschool children. I love that eagerness to learn. They're always like telling facts or sharing something that they've created, Legos or, a painting or a puzzle that they've done or sharing some facts about some planet or far off star. It's like, oh, you're
Yeah,
like walking encyclopedias. Okay, if I want to learn a cool fact, let me just go up to a homeschooler. They have tons of
right.
them. Really interesting, quirky things that I would never learn in school. No,
And
like
the
how do you
things that they teach themselves, you like, oh, so
the things they teach themselves
you learned how to play
exactly.
Ease on Down the Road from the Wiz by watching a YouTube video by one time. What? Okay.
I love it. I know. It's such a rich experience. That's phenomenal.
And
So,
the one last thing I want to say about the
yeah.
perks is the connections you can make with your family, especially your
Mhm,
older relatives. Because if you have people who are home or in other areas, you can spend time with them. And
mhm,
I'm going to tell y'all need to use them as a resource. My father was a musician in the Navy. He knows how to play the piano, he
mhm,
knows how to sing. Piano lessons with
mhm.
Pop Pop. You spend the time with Pop
Nice.
Pop, you get to learn. Or they talk about history, they talk about the Navy. We're going to go see the Blue Angels. We're going to go talk to Pop Pop. It's just the
Yeah.
benefits.
Yes, and I was going to get into that question, and I love that what you were just speaking about. In our communities before, everyone had a role, everyone was important. So the elders had a role of passing that knowledge, that wisdom, the stories to the next generation, right?
Yes,
And then they had the patience, they had the time that maybe the working parents did not have. So they would get that nurturing, the support, the history, all these different skills that maybe we aren't aware of because it
right.
was a different time period, but our children are able to benefit from that. So I love what you were sharing about that. And you mentioned to me when we were chatting before how you were taking care of an ill parent. And so how, homeschooling allowed you to do that, but also some of maybe the challenges that went along with that. Could you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, so ironically, I just mentioned Pop Pop, my father. Um, he fell ill and went into the hospital. And since that was the high time around COVID, he didn't have COVID. He ended up having like 4 liters of fluid on his lungs.
Oh.
And they drained it and it just kept coming back. And so he ended up being in the hospital for 3.5 weeks. And I want to say this was maybe a year into homeschooling. So I was still
Mhm,
kind of fresh into homeschooling. I have a brother and sister, but they both worked.
mhm,
And so since I was the stay-at-home mom with the fitness business where I could make my classes work when I needed them to work,
mhm,
I was the person who was staying in the hospital, making sure that there was no hanky panky going on, that people weren't trying to do anything slick, that there was somebody to advocate for him. And so I would almost be at the hospital from all the visiting hours, or at least until one of my brothers or sisters could relieve me. So I
mhm,
might be at the hospital from 9 to 5. And
mm,
so having children who were homeschooled, there were times where I would be at my dad's house. And so they would just come with me to my dad's house and I would set them up for the day. I would make sure they had the curriculum. It was like, okay, you're doing this on the computer. Note cards were the friends because note cards were
mm.
portable. If something died, you still had your note card and you knew you were doing page 56 to 75 and that for this subject. And in the sense, they also helped each other.
Mhm,
My oldest, she was very helpful. Even my middle son, he was helpful with he would be a great teacher if he wanted to go teach right now.
mm,
He would help his little brother as well. And so my husband, he was working from home at that time. So it was like me giving him a tutorial, like, okay, this is what you do. Okay, this is, you take this book and they're going to be here and they're going to be there. Call me if you need some help. At sometimes I would just like call me on the Google Meets. What are you doing? Let me check in with you. I would leave out from the room and talk to them, but I was still able to care for him. But at the same time, I'm driving from Baltimore to Annapolis. I was driving at least 40 miles a day,
Oh
back
my
and forth, back
goodness.
and forth. Sometimes
Wow.
late, sometimes early, and it was very tiring. I was very tired, but I had a responsibility as a daughter, and I had a
Mm,
responsibility as a mother, and I
mm,
had a responsibility as a wife. So I
mm.
would make sure the meals were cooked. Everybody knew what they were doing for breakfast, lunch, dinner. Everybody knew what their assignments were. And me personally, I only homeschool from 9 to 12, Monday to
Mm.
Thursday,
I love
because
it.
you can get everything done. Because when you go to school, those 6 hours that they're there is a lot of fluff, a lot of walking in the hallway, a lot of talking to this person, talking to
Disciplining.
that person.
That's
Discipline. If you ever
distraction.
even get talked to, if you're a good child, you might not even get any attention. But so 9 to 12, and I don't homeschool on Fridays. Friday is field trip day. So
Mm,
Friday was a day that we would go on field trips. Um, Even if they went to the doctor's appointment, we would turn that into a field trip, and you would learn more about why you were at the doctor's and ask the doctor's questions. But the challenge of being able to manage your time, and it made me more organized
mm.
as a homeschooler, because sometimes you can have a curriculum and it can go day by day, but it might not give you everything that you have. And so you need
Right.
to supplement. And so that's when your workbooks come out and things like that. And then those things help put in the buffer when you're not there.
Mhm.
Or when I was literally like a virtual teacher. I was on the phone talking to the doctor. Yes. It was to the point that they thought that I was in the medical field myself.
Oh, wow.
When a
You're
doctor
picking
came
up
in, I ran everything
vascular.
down.
Wow.
Everything down.
That's amazing. And I noticed that when family members are advocates, they know their parents or family members' medical conditions, medicines, last episodes better than the nurses and the doctors because sometimes they have so many, patients that they're looking at that they'll miss things or confuse information. And so there's many a times I've seen family members like, oh, no, 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 that's not correct. No, they don't have that, no, that prescription is too strong. No, I talked to another nurse and they mentioned this. So it's great
That
that your
happened to my
father had.
father. He was
Mm,
answering questions, and they were like, it was like a neurological test, and he was answering questions, and I was like, "Are you trying to give him the answers?" I was like, "He's not right now." I said, "There was a medication that you put him on that you said you were going to put him off. It's still in his order, it has been removed, and now he seems like he's loopy." I said,
mm,
"He's not right.
yeah.
So can I have another doctor, please?"
I love that. It's so great. It's so important that we have those relationships and that we're able to take care of our parents. Because if we don't, who will? There's no one that's going to really love them and take them as serious as we will. So
And
it's a
there's nothing
blessing.
and there's nothing wrong with giving your child a free day. And there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with homeschooling on a Sunday. And
Mhm.
sometimes I do that. I'll homeschool on a Sunday, and I say, which day of the week do you want off since you
Mm.
did something on Sunday?
Abs-
Or I say, look, if you double up on today, if you do the work you're supposed to do tomorrow, then you have tomorrow free.
yes, I
Or do
love
you want to
that.
do night school?
Mhm.
Is it too stressful? We've been driving around and take care of Pop Pop. You want to do your work tonight?
And I
And
love
my
that.
daughter used to do that option. She used to like
Yeah.
to do her stuff night school. She's like, "Can I do night school today?" As long as it gets done. Yep.
That's a beautiful thing about homeschooling is children have more ownership and autonomy over their education. In
Yes.
real life, hopefully it's not like at this time this happens, bell rings, then you go here, bell rings. In real life, you have to be flexible. You have to pivot. There's this option, weighing the options, what works best for you because we're not all the same. Like this
We're not.
podcast is called, Learning Outside the Box, because we're all different, and to put us all in a box like we're the same and we have the same needs and learning styles and schedules, that can really, that's a big mistake. There's times that, we're more optimal, or there's times that we're tired, so we need to make up. So I think it's, preparing them for real life and to be efficient and effective and really get to know themselves and be self-motivated versus just like, oh, this is what we have to do just because we have to do it, but actually have some ownership. So I love that. That's really amazing. And I'm similar. For a while, I was doing lessons 7 days a week, but it would be different things. Like our main lessons were like right now, it's Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10:30. By 10:30, and we go all year round. So they have Sundays off, which are really not off because they're planning for their week ahead,
Right.
right? So it's still a day, but they would do the 7 to 10:30, and then they have their other activities. Maybe you're doing yoga, maybe you're doing an internship, maybe you're at the gym working on the plant or working on your business. And some of my children have their businesses. So it would just be lessons from 7 to 10:30, but then after that, they get to focus on what they really are passionate about. So it's still lesson time, but it's more like open. Like, what are you focused on? What's important? What are you trying to get mastery in?
Because
So
homeschool is 24/7.
it really
Because if
is.
you go to the store with me, you're going to add, you're going to budget, you're going to learn about healthy living and healthy eating, about eating in the perimeter, about not doing the box food, about the dyes. Every opportunity is a homeschooling opportunity. It
It truly
all
is.
it all is works hand in hand. And it's those life skills and the things that you learn that are not being taught in the school. They're going to teach you to a test. And you're like, well, why didn't I learn about this?
Right. That's true. And our children have been doing the grocery shopping for a while. It's like, this is the budget. They prepare all the meals. And so they're the ones, it's just like, here's the budget. You create the meal plan and you need to figure out how to make this fit in the money that I'm depositing onto your debit card. And they do it. Sometimes they have to go to 4 different stores to make it into their budget, but they make it work. And so it's a great learning experience. And like you said, teaching them to read the ingredients. Like, okay, if you can't pronounce this, you probably don't want to put that in your body.
You don't.
Right?
You don't.
So
No,
it's
no.
yes, exactly. So I think, like you said, I agree 100%. Homeschooling is not just teaching you to memorize things for a test. They're teaching you life skills. It's teaching you to be a complete human being in every single area of life, and our school systems are not set up to do that. They really aren't. So it's up to us as parents, even if your child is in school, to supplement, to make sure that your child knows how to cook and
Correct.
clean and budget and make a meal plan and to clean and to, you know, um,
They don't
I don't
offer the home ec and the tech ed and the woods. They don't offer
know,
those classes anymore.
budgeting, all of that. I know, it's really sad. So we would go to like Office Depot so they can get some woodworking in, or Lowe's, a couple times a month. Or we would do internships at the bike shop. We would volunteer to make sure that even as a child, you realize that you can make an impact on this world, no matter how young
Right.
you are. Like when they were babies, 1 years old, we would start taking them to elderly homes because there'll be like older people where their family members dropped them off and never came back and they would be alone. So just seeing a 1-year-old baby would just bring so much joy to their life, and them telling them stories and watching them run around. So it's just like, when you're homeschooling, these are things that you can share your values and principles and implement these different activities that really showcase what you think is important as a human being, or in this world. So, yeah, I love it. So, you got me going on a tangent. So, tell me a little bit more about let's just say your there, like you mentioned, your father teaches, your children how to play instrument or about naval science or different things like that. So when there's a subject like math or instruments, high level math instruments, certain level sciences, computers or whatever that you may not be trained in, how do you go about getting the support for your children? Teach those
Well,
lessons.
I am a low cost, no cost type of mommy. First, I will say that. So I use my resources. I do my own education. I might watch some YouTube videos. I have depending on your area, you could access a teacher's library card. I live in Baltimore, and so in Baltimore County and Baltimore City, you can access a teacher's library card where they will actually curate for you. If you give them a subject, say, I need books on all things uh, chemistry,
Mhm.
so you can teach, and you would have the same access that a public school teacher or private school teacher would have, and you would go ahead and call that in and go pick it up, and you would have access to so many books. So sometimes it happens where you're learning the same as your child, but you will also be surprised how much you learn from what you learned when you were younger, and how sometimes they don't bring those things back into existence, just like how
Mhm.
they do Common Core. And I showed Common Core because they were teaching Common Core, but I also showed my children how we did math when we grew up.
Right.
So, I mean,
Very
I'm
different.
43, so I'm an 80s baby. So it's
Mhm.
very different, but I told them that you need to know both ways. So doing your own research, and if that doesn't work, definitely reach out to a professional. Most of us, I will reach out to family, friends, because as you grow up and you make relationships, I know I have friends with computer science degrees. My
Mhm.
husband has a master's in computer science. I have friends who are running different organizations. And I look in the community for community organizations. For example, there's an organization called Project Numa in Baltimore, and my children were able to um, learn about science, learn about how the heart works, build their own lung machine. They dissected sheep kidneys and all types of things like that. So when you go to different places like science centers and um, different science centers or nature centers and things like that, they always have people there presenting.
Mhm.
Community colleges, they offer
They do.
concerts. You could see opera, you could see different presentations, and most of those things are free, or these organizations are looking for people to provide these services to, but you just have to do a little bit of work. Or you can take the other route where you just reach out to a paid curriculum and have them work at it. But in
Mhm.
my experience, I find that when you just give them a curriculum and they're doing something straight out of a book or straight online, and they don't have interaction, they don't necessarily learn as well, or they don't
Right.
like it. They like
Yeah.
to go out hands on, being able to, okay, I went in the nature, I went in the marsh, I looked under the microscope, I saw what this looked like, and I appreciate that more. But it all depends on your child. Once again, you might have a child like, look, just give me everything on the computer. I don't want you to tell me anything. I know that your degree is in X, Y, and Z, but I want to learn from this person over here. So it all depends on the child and the parent and the family, the finances, the budget, and also your location. Because
Mhm.
unfortunately, depending on where you're located, if you're in a metropolitan area, you might have more access, whether if you're in a rural area. But like I said, there's different organizations out there that are mobile and looking for children to work with. And sometimes they're just looking for homeschool kids in particular.
Yeah. That's
A lot of
100%.
schools, a lot of organizations, they're reaching out to home. They seeing that we are a population that we could actually look. You get a homeschool child and your organization, and they're flying through, making you look good. Yeah, you want some homeschool children.
Yes,
It's going to benefit
indeed.
both people.
That's yeah, 100%
But
true.
you're capable of doing everything. But your
Mhm.
children are learning, you're learning too. and it will
Yes.
stay with you, and you'll be surprised what you come across, and then
Mhm.
what you can break off into you're basically your own breakout room. Like, I was
Mhm.
looking for this, but now I see this, and I found out about this. We're learning about this for the next time.
Yes.
For your
Yes,
young
'cause
and for your younger children, they benefit even more because now you have that wisdom, you have that knowledge, you have that resources, and it only gets better for the children who are younger.
yes, I agree. So, yeah, there's so many opportunities for homeschooling parents and families because many times there would be, I would go to a workshop or something and they would see my children. They're like, and my children were so inquisitive. So they're asking questions and they're just like, you know what? Why don't you bring your children to my farm? I can teach them how to do this and this and this. Or we would go and see a glass maker and they were just like, yeah, if your children are interesting, I don't mind teaching them some classes on this. So people tend to be very, very generous and they want to share this knowledge, especially once they see that your children are interested, something that they're asking a lot of questions. And as adult, they're just like, I don't see very many children that are asking these questions because most of the children aren't to school during these times. So it's
Right.
just like a great opportunity for them. And yeah, so there's like endless opportunities, like you
And
said,
our
even
children
in
are
small towns.
unprogrammed. Our children are unprogrammed. We're not programmed to be inside the box.
Right.
You know, if you
Just
go to
fine.
school, you might be more inside the box. If you're out of school, you're outside the box because you're not telling somebody's telling you that the sky is green when it's clearly blue outside. You see it's blue, but they're telling you it's green, and you're just, okay, I'm just going to accept that. And the
Exactly.
worst, it's not what's the worst that can happen, it's what's the best that can happen. And the
Mhm.
worst that can happen is somebody tells you no. You'll be surprised how many yes
Oh my
that you
goodness.
hear.
Yes, there's so many yeses or people that volunteer. I mean, my children, oh my goodness, just this week, they brought me home three different phone numbers. Like, Mom, this person wants us to teach English at their school because we're in Mexico right now. Or
Okay.
this person invited us to their farm. They said that we can pick as many fruit and they're having a party for us. I'm like, oh my goodness. This person, so there's like always
The partnership, the
yes,
relationships, the
relationship.
socialization they claim
Oh
that we
my
don't get.
goodness. So much. Yes. I mean, my children have been business partners with so many different people because they're just like, oh, like one of my children is doing a internship with a tech company that fixes computers and laptops and phones, and they're about to open another location. And they're just like, at this location, I'm the only person that speaks Spanish and English, but I would love your son to help us in our new location because he speaks Spanish and English too, and he's great at technology. I have another son that works at resorts and fixes all the phones at the resorts. But also, those two sons, they have their own business where they make juices and sell sandwiches, and the community loves it. So, it's just like there's so many opportunities. My older son just got an opportunity to go to an island for a month to fix the phones at another resort. So a free trip I'm like, can mom or dad come too? I want to go to the island and stay at this resort for a month. I can work from anywhere. Let's go.
Right,
So it's just like
right.
opportunities are, endless because they have the time, they have the availability. They're not stuck in the box of I'm in school during this time. We can fit their lessons around whatever opportunities. If the ballet is in town and they have a special show for homeschoolers at 10 a.m., okay, we'll do our lessons at a different time. We're going to see this ballet,
Right.
Joffrey Ballet, at 10 a.m. We're going to do it. So that's the great thing, that flexibility and being able to learn from different people in the community and the community actually buying into our children.
Right.
It's like they're investing and they want to invest. But if the children seem like they're always on their phones or not interested, they're not going to offer, right?
Yeah, my
So,
daughter didn't get her phone until she turned 14.
yeah, my 19-year-old daughter still don't have a phone.
Mm,
I'm like, no. Only only my 21-year-old son and my 17-year-old son, because the internship company gave him the phone so that he can communicate with them. But as soon as that's over, he's giving that phone back. But
You're
yes.
able to deprogram when you homeschool.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, it's an amazing thing to be able to do that, and you'll get that. Oh, my people, me, my children, they're so well behaved. They're so respectful.
Yes.
I thought
I
there were so
watch
many
them anytime, or
people.
they can come anytime. Or my child has learned so much from your child. They're so mature. And I'm like, well, what are you doing?
True story. All things I'm sure all homeschooling parents have heard. So, yeah. So, this has been great. Now, this is a question that a lot of homeschoolers want to know. We, as a lot of homeschoolers, they have businesses, they still need to make money. They still have to have a roof over their head while they're educating these children and food on the table. So, what have you done to, create an income for your family?
Well, I do have my business, my fitness business, where I am a coach. I'm an accountability coach. I
Mm,
also provide on demand fitness classes, corporate classes, personal training, monthly fitness plans, and
mhm,
programs to get you to your definition of fit. Like I said,
mhm.
I'm a stay at home mom, so I'm not the primary income person. So I do. Praise the Lord for my husband. And he is a very hard worker, and he makes sure that we have everything that we need, and provided a lane so that I could uh, open up my business, Fit to Flee.
Fit to
It,
flee. Okay.
yes. Um, so Fit to Flee actually started because of COVID almost. It was
Mhm,
before COVID. It was basically I was on a fitness journey, 3 children, you pack on the pounds, you're doing so much, you're trying to get it together. So I've been where everybody has been. I've been the
mhm,
mom who doesn't have enough time, the mom who works hard, the mom who is tired, and also the mom who has to make themselves a priority so you can be here for your family.
mhm,
So in 2019, I actually joined a fitness program. And when I joined the program, it was called Reinvent You Boot Camps. And I joined the program, did well, lost 20 pounds out the gate, like in the first
nice.
three months.
Wow.
And so the business owner, Frances Questaboom,
Mm,
she noticed me that I was basically helping everybody and trying to motivate people. And she was like, well, you did well in the program. Do you want to be an accountability coach for the program? And I was like, sure. So I became an accountability coach. She was like, well, you're doing well bringing people in here. Do you want to be the business marketing consultant? I was like, sure. So I helped get the membership of the gym up. Then there was one instructor who was pregnant and she was going on maternity leave.
mm,
So she said, if you could teach a class, what would you teach? I said, well, I would teach like a boot camp class, hit different things like that. I like to be intense. And she was like, well, Stacey's going on maternity leave. So you start on January 1st.
she didn't even ask you where you're starting.
After she asked me what type of class I would like to teach, and it just happened to be that class. So
Um,
I was, growing up, I was on the track team. I played basketball. I did Division 1 track. So I'm not scared of a workout or anything like that. My father growing up was a bodybuilder, arm wrestling champ. So fitness has always been part of my life. It's always been my passion. And I always like helping people. So I started in January. It went well, the same program that I participated in. And by that time, I had lost like 50 pounds. Right.
whoa, go
So now
mama.
I was like I went from like 198 to like 164 or something like that.
Mm,
So my success, I end up training the people in the program that I was successful in. Then it
Mm.
got to a point where I started subbing for everybody who wasn't going to be there. I was subbing for everybody's classes. I took all their classes. I knew what they did. And then she was like, you need to get a certification. So
Mm.
then that's when I got a certification in amp strength, which is using the weighted bar to choreograph music to get in strength training. So then
Mm.
after that, I have 6 certifications with amp.
Whoa.
I have
Wow.
HIIT, which is amp build. I have kettlebell. I have resistance. I have cardio kickboxing. Cardio kickboxing is one of everybody's favorite classes. So
Mm.
as I moved on, then the gym closed and we went to Facebook. It closed because of COVID. So now I'm doing this fitness instruction and the churches, we're not meeting. The churches aren't meeting because of COVID. So I'm
Mm.
like, well, everybody's not going to the gym, not working out. It's COVID. Everybody's like, I got that COVID 15. I was like, no, we can't gain that weight. We got to keep pushing. So then I went ahead and I started doing everything on Zoom, offering fitness
Mm.
classes on Zoom, fitness classes, fellowshipping. The class would turn into 3 hours because we would work out for an hour and then we would talk for 2 because we
Mm.
couldn't meet up with each other. So it became
Mm.
more than that. And then it was like, well, at first it was just women. Well, bring your husband, bring your children. The husbands were dying, y'all. They weren't making it through the workout. They were scooting off the screen. But the children were working out. People were getting off of medication. Everything was
Wow.
great. And everybody's like, you need to take this and give more people this. So
Mm.
it went from my church to here. And now Fit to Flee. Fit is an acronym for focused, intentional, and tested. Because if you're focused and intentional, when you're tested, you'll be successful every time.
Well,
And
love
so
it.
I started offering fitness classes for homeschool people or
Nice.
homeschool families because one of the hardest things for some of us to do, like we don't have any problem finding an English class, math class, social studies. It's the art. It's the gym. It's those little classes that trip us up. Like I don't know what to do, but I want to tell you, you can do something simple as having your child work on walking a mile. Remember in
Mm.
school you had to do a mile run. So there was one year where we worked ourselves up. We would walk a little bit each day. Each day we would walk a little bit more, and then we would track our time and see what we were doing. You can sign your child up for a sports team. That's
Mm.
gym. It's things that we don't think about. You can find a workout on YouTube. Netflix has workouts on Netflix.
I
You can
didn't
go
know
on Netflix and put in health and fitness, and they have different workouts from stretching. There's YouTube channels. There's if you can put in PE fitness for children, and you can find things like they'll have like fruit bunch kickboxing. There's children teaching children. There's things geared to children. There's like would you rather, and you'll do like if you pick the sandwich, then you do this exercise. There's
that.
so many different things that you can do on your own that you don't have to pay anybody. However, with my classes, you'll get the energy, you can work out. And if you want to work out with your child, you can. And I will provide a curriculum. If I teach you a Tabata class, you will get a curriculum on Tabata. So that's something
Nice.
that you can have your child fill out or test them on. So it's education and it's fitness. There's sometimes where we're like, look, I know I can do it myself, but there's just something I need to let somebody else do because I'm overwhelmed. You
Yeah.
don't want to overwhelm yourself. Make it cross curricular things. If you're doing something on baseball, find out the history about baseball, make them write a paper about baseball, go to a baseball game.
Mm. I
Find
love
the sim within baseball,
it.
how the
Mhm.
weather affects how the ball is pitched. There's all
Right,
different types of
physics
things that we can
is
do.
all involved in baseball.
And if you have a business, have your child involved. I call my son the IT man. He brings me
Mm.
my laptop, he takes it away, he checks to make sure my audio is fine. Sometimes I have my daughter teach a class.
I
But
love that.
it's also good for your children to see you doing something else other than just being mom or just going to work or doing something that they can look forward to having one day. Or
Yes.
my mom is swole, my mom is buffer, my mom is strong, my mom can do this. It you you have to have some type of self-care. And for me, working out is therapy. But now
That's
I can just get paid to do it. I will
right.
say this, if you're gonna do something that you love, you want to get paid for something, do something that you love. If you
Mm,
have a passion for it, do that. I have everybody right now. I love children. I actually have a bachelor's degree in applied psychology and a master's degree in
mm.
psychology with a specialization in child and adolescent development. I love children. Even as a child, I was helping children. I've been told that I need to have my own channel. I could be the next Gracie's Corner or something like that, the next Miss Rachel or whoever else. It was like, children love you. You're so animated. You're so exciting and you teach well. I'm like, huh, something to think about. Something to think about. Y'all
Absolutely.
let me know if y'all think that y'all child would respond to me and we can see what we can do. Maybe we can have an
Mhm.
outside the box special. I do
Yeah.
want to do an outside the box training day. We can have a training class. Everybody comes in and works out.
That
Maybe we can
sounds
do that.
amazing. Now, how would we get in contact with you to find out about Fit to Flee? Would you like us to email you or do you have a website?
And you can email me at Sharon, SHARON, at fit2flee.com.
Okay,
That is my email, or you can visit my website, www.fit2flee.com. And I will say this, I do mash up faith and fitness because I will say that if you have one of my workouts, you might have to pray, you might have to call on the Lord every once in a while to make it through. So I
Oh,
will
you have
say
to put the
I have
disclaimer out
put a
there.
disclaimer. But I do get results. You will have fun, and I will motivate you through the whole time. So, faith and fitness, I do have a component of faith. Sometimes when I do my corporate classes, of course, it's not there, but I do. That is part of me. That is one of my dynamics. Whether you believe, whatever you believe in order to be healthy all the way around, you have to be healthy mentally, physically, and spiritually. You have to have something going on with your spirit that
Mhm.
keeps you going every day. There's something that you believe in. It's going to drive you. It's going to keep you. If you're not there mentally, everything else is going to go down. You got to think about it as a wobbly table. If the
Yeah, think
leg is not working,
holistically.
it's not going to work. You got to fix that leg, okay?
Mhm.
And you
Yeah.
gotta you gotta put some things first because guess what? Most of us, we are the ones that keep our family going. But if
Mhm.
we're sick, who's going to take care of us?
Yep. True story. Who's gonna take care of us?
And
So we have to
also,
take care of.
and also, I provide a lot about education. So you have to know about your body. You have to know how it works. You have to know that the chemical imbalances that go on in our body is because we're not allowing our body to work the way it was designed to. If
Mhm.
you're staying up and you're not getting any rest, you can eat the way you need to, you can work out the way you want to, but if you're not resting, it's not going to work.
You're
So you
right.
have to rest.
Yes, 'cause throw
It's
out maybe some
80%
hormones.
nutrition, so you got to eat well
Yes.
and you got to
Yes.
work out.
Mhm. Yeah, one of my friends are always telling me that diet is king and fitness is queen. So it's like a
Mm,
big part is your diet, and then the exercise definitely supplements it. So they work in conjunction
they
together,
do.
but you definitely need to get because there's people that exercise and they're just like, oh, I'm
I don't
exercising, but
know why.
I'm not losing the weight or or my leg just I just injured my knee, or they'll have a lot of injuries because they're not getting proper nutrition.
Correct. Now,
So
speaking of injuries, I am the modification queen.
it's
I will
amazing.
give 3 different levels to do one exercise because you're
That's
not getting
amazing.
out of it. You're going to do the work. I
Yes.
have a workout called Chairtastic. It's all in the chair.
Mm,
It will
amazing.
take you out, okay?
I
In in a good way. In a good
Yes,
way.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So again, family, if we want to contact Sharon to know more about her business or ask questions about homeschooling, Sharon at fit2flee.com and her website, www.fit2flee.com. So now we're going to open it up for the next 10 minutes for question and answer. So family, if you have any questions, I'm going to look through these comments. Oh, I love this. Someone says your gift will make room for you. The village say that. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Onikki. So if you have any questions for the amazing Sharon, who shared so many amazing nuggets with us today, drop it in the chat for us. Let's see if I have any more questions for you because I took some notes about some things while I'm waiting. You mentioned this a little bit about, oh, this is my last question. So
Okay.
while I'm waiting for questions to come up, if anyone has any, but you might have did just such a great job that you answered all the questions. But we have family members here, so drop your questions in the chat. Let me make sure I'm seeing it because it's just showing top comments. I want to see all comments. Okay. Yeah, so I can see when questions are coming in. Okay, excellent. So, to all the family members that are curious or interested in homeschooling, but they're on the fence, what is some advice that you would give to them?
I would say if you're on the fence, know why you're on the fence first.
Mhm,
Because if you're on the fence because it's financial, then investigate different things to see how it could be um, suitable for your family.
mhm,
Because it really can be done for free. It really can be done on a budget. You just
absolutely.
have to do some research. I would say try it out because you can always go back. If you
Yeah.
wanted to go back to public school, you can always go back. And just like you can always go back, you can always come back to homeschool. I know
Mhm,
several people who tried it, thought it was too much, went back to public school or private school, and it still didn't work out, and they came back. So
mhm,
I would say just give it a try. Like I said with the Mikey, try it. You might like it. Uh, but I would say if it's because of curriculum or you you're not thinking that you're going to be enough for your child, look and talk to other people to find out what they're doing, because sometimes I've had several conversations with several families and they were like, I didn't know that it could be that simple.
mhm,
Sometimes what happens is that things become hard or challenging because we don't know. We suffer from a lack of knowledge. So
mhm,
since we suffer from a lack of knowledge, we are making assumptions about the things that we don't know. So
mhm,
if we educate ourselves and we talk to people, it's not everything's not always in a book. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is just talk to other people. And it can be a complete stranger. That might even be better because there's no bias there. What do they gain by telling you something different? Like
mhm,
I don't know people on this call, and by me telling you my story, it may help, it may hurt, it may make you think like, okay, I could do better. But at the end of the day, you're your child's first teacher. And
mhm.
it is ingrained and born in you to teach your child. But what happens is we get so lost in the world that that is stripped from us. And
Yeah.
so we outsource that to other people. So you're
Mhm.
capable of doing everything. If you're capable of holding down a job, you're capable of holding down your child when you homeschool. So
Absolutely.
if you're on the fence, just do the research. You can even go. One thing that I did is that I joined every Facebook group I could find that suited me. If it was a social group, I joined. And guess what? When you join those groups, you don't have to actively participate in that group. But what happens is being in those groups, those people are posting nuggets, they're posting resources, they're posting information that you might not have been privy to because you're not in that group. So I'm in the
Right.
state of Maryland. I'm in every county's homeschool group, even though that county
Mhm.
might be 3 hours away from me. But that county might post something that's going to be beneficial to my family. There was one that I found they were giving away free laptops. I might not have been
Ooh.
able to benefit from the free laptop, but somebody else was.
Mm.
There's different people that are doing different meetups. So now I have all these different pockets of people that my child can meet with or meet
Mm.
up with. And so being on the fence is not a bad thing. Being on the fence can actually be a good thing because it's going to force you to look into what's going on in your area, what's going on in yourself, what's going on in your home, and make the best decision. And if
Mm.
you do feel like you're not enough, that's just you getting in your own way. Don't
Absolutely.
overwhelm yourself. There's so many people that have been doing. She says she has decades. I've only been doing it for like 4 years, and you never know. I will say this: I was on the fence for 2 years, and I think about
Mm.
how much I robbed my children by being on the fence, where I could have just
Mm.
jumped into it, and if it didn't work out, I could have just went back. That's
True.
the beauty of it. Send your letter of intent, and then go back if you need to.
Mhm.
You're gonna end up coming back because once you have a taste, it's hard.
Yeah, because it's like once you have that freedom to, and then you see the benefits that your children are having, the happiness, the ease, the love of learning that they have, that they don't typically have in school. It's more drudgery, like, oh, I have to do this. When now they're more self regulating when it comes to learning. Like, I'm eager to learn this because I love it. I want to know about this. It's amazing to see your children. They can wake up when they want to. They can go to sleep when they want to. There's just more flexibility, so you can cater things to their different personalities, so you can make sure that they thrive. You can make sure they're eating healthy, that they're not sneaking
Yes.
junk food from other things that's causing weird rashes or hyperactivity or whatever.
And
So,
and the one thing that I will say that is a one benefit that I did not mention, and she will attest to it. Your child will no longer be sick.
yeah,
When
there would
your
be a lot
child was
more
in public school, they
healthiness.
say getting a cold or coming home being sick, and then after that, you're like nobody's sick anymore. What happened? I personally wasn't a person that sent my child to school sick, but some people send their child to school
They
sick. And
do.
what happens is it's cesspool of germs and they bring home the sickness. But you'll
Mhm,
be surprised how much you grow in other aspects of your life when you homeschool because it
mhm.
brings out skills that you didn't know that you had. To the point
Absolutely.
where I am now part of a homeschool group, Yasharala Preparatory Academy, and I
Mm.
am the events coordinator and I'm
Oh
also the
my.
training Tuesday teacher where I teach gym, health, and we do brain teasers in the morning. And if anybody is out because I had the flexibility with my business and staying at home, I can sub for somebody. But it's a bunch of parents who came together who have the same beliefs of giving their child everything that they need and gives them that experience of them going to school. They are online virtually every day, several times during the day, and they go on field trips together. That's when they come together. We have different locations throughout the United States, and everybody comes together and they still get that real feel socialization. And that was just by some parents coming together and supporting each other. Shout out
Mm,
to Amanya Blunt, who is the director.
amazing. Shout it out. So we have one question. Please explain to the new parents the benefits of both PSA, I'm not sure what that acronym means, and charter homeschooling. So I haven't been a part of either one of those, I don't think. I'm more of a world schooler, eclectic world schooler. Are you
um,
familiar with PSA
I
and charter?
haven't heard of PSA, but I'm thinking that's a private school association
Oh, there you go.
because a charter school is more like a public private school kind of sort of.
Mm,
So the private school, depending on what's in your area, private schools are costly. If you can get a scholarship, get a scholarship. Usually, depending on the school that you pick, you can go ahead and be geared to what your values are and whether it fits, whether it's your religion, sports, or anything like that. You can get that in a private school. However,
this
you still have to deal with the politics. of
Mm,
school. And if you want your child to take this or do certain testing or things like that, you have to deal with that. The public charter is almost like a private school, but you don't pay for it. But you
mm,
have to apply and um, get into lotteries. I would say that if I was to go back to public school, I would generally go a private school or a public charter school type of route. But with the public charter, there's other things that have to be considered, like where you live. Um, if you have a child that's already there already, and it might be harder to get in, and then you end up going to your zone school.
yeah,
So those things take different types of relationships, different types of rules, different types of funding, and it could be that you make too much and you can't go there.
right.
So, and
Absolutely.
that's sometimes as homeschoolers that you try to get benefits that other people want, other people have, and you can't get it because you might make too much,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
So sometimes there's ways to work around that, other times there's not. But I would say just try to be honest in everything that you do, because
Hmm.
you don't want anything to come back and bite you. Integrity is key. Even
Yes,
work out. Don't lie to yourself. You
absolutely.
know what you're not doing. You know what you what you need to do.
True story. And
This,
I
this
know,
is your this is your wake up call. If you were looking
yeah,
for that time to work out, if you're looking for somebody to coach you, if you're looking for somebody to coach your kids, if you're looking for something to be outside the box,
yes,
I'm that one. I
yes.
I aspire to inspire. That's me.
Absolutely. So we're going to wrap this up. Also, really quickly, when it comes to private school association, I know, like, for instance, when we homeschool, we set up our own, like, it's considered private school in certain states if you're homeschooling and you're under that umbrella, depending on states. And sometimes it's under homeschooling, maybe under the umbrella of charter school too. So I'm not sure if she was also speaking about that.
Well, there are
So,
some people that offer, there are some private schools that if you homeschool your child and you want to connect and use virtually connect with them or do some of the programs there, they'll allow you to do that. So
mhm,
sometimes you can reach out to a charter school or a private school to see if you can have your child kind of like half part time in
mhm,
the school and part-time homeschool. And
mm,
there's some homeschooling groups that will actually have their own school. It will be
mhm,
a homeschool, but they have their own school and it operates as a
absolutely.
homeschool. And it's just the parents coming together to do that. That's kind of
Yeah,
like
like a co-op.
the virtual school that I
Mhm,
work with. We're not a co op, we're not an umbrella, because
mhm,
depending on your state, you have certain things that you have to, the requirements that you have to meet in
mhm,
order to operate as an umbrella or a co-op. For
mhm,
example, for the state of Maryland, if you're on an umbrella, it has to be like associated with a church
mm,
for some people. Um, so you might not have the option if you wanted something secular, you might have to do that. But the reason why people pick umbrellas is because when you're with an umbrella, you don't have to deal directly with your county or
mhm,
your reviewer. You basically review in between each other, or that organization has a particular panel that reviews, and then they contact with the county. But what I say is, I say try it yourself. Try to do your review yourself, so you actually know how homeschooling works. If you outsource everything, then you don't know how it works. So it's
yeah,
better to know how it works so you can be make a better decision when it comes to homeschooling. So I said I'm going to try to work directly with my county. I'm in my state. They say that I have the strictest homeschooling county, but when
right.
I had my reviewer, she did it virtually. Since COVID, they do them virtually, and she can't wait to have my review because she wants to see all the things that I did with my children. She said, I love what you do. You need to duplicate yourself. And well, that's great. I never would have thought that I would have had a reviewer saying that they're looking forward to me. So,
Yes,
and for the co-op, a co-op is basically just families coming together
mhm.
and they put their funds together to get those particular instructors or those areas that they want to service their children.
Yeah, and it
So if they
differs
and
too,
it
'cause some
differs, it
parents
differs.
are teachers
Right,
in the school and teach their
right. And
expertise.
also in the co-ops, they might say, well, in the co-ops or their umbrella, they might require the parents to teach or contribute in some type of way.
Mhm,
But a
mhm.
lot of times the co-op and the umbrella is driven by what the state says they are. Or if you don't want the state to have control of that, then you're just going to conduct your organization the way you have, kind of like the organization I'm part of, Yasharala Prep, YPA. And then eventually, if you do become like a homeschool school, operating in that area, you can. And that's basically the parents. You might pay a fee, you might not pay a fee, but that all depends on you. But that's
Yeah,
just parents coming together, putting their resources together to put their children in a social situation, as well as making sure that their needs are met in an academic
indeed.
way. So I
And
know
it's
there's
gonna
a lot of terms that people hear that they don't know what they
yes.
are.
And it differs from state to state. Like, for instance, the 2
Yes.
states that I homeschool, in Illinois and in Texas, they had none of that. There was none of those requirements. It was, like, very easy. You didn't have to put an intent to homeschool. There's no
Wow,
set
really?
no, there's no reviews. There's
What?
nothing. Yeah, no. We don't have to do any of no. We don't have set hours. There's, like yeah. So it depends on the state. So I noticed on the East Coast, there's a lot more
Mm,
regulations, higher regulation
yes.
states. So
And
the
even in the county, you have to look on
mhm,
what your state says, and then you actually have to look in your county because it differs from
sure,
county to county.
it
One
does.
county might be a little bit more lenient. Another county might have something different. So, like, even if you move to another county, that all changes. So that's just things that you could work with. But I know for my county, if you wanted to homeschool, they actually have a nice website and they have links and walk you through steps and tell you about different things, which is really great. So,
Mm,
but you
look for
always can talk to
resources.
somebody if
That's
you don't know.
wonderful. Okay. Well, this was so awesome. I know we went a little bit over, but this was wonderful answering those questions, sharing those nuggets. And we definitely want to support Sharon in the Fit to Flee. It's a win win. She has amazing resources for you where it's not just about fitness, but it's about education too. And like she says, she deals with the mind, body, spirit. It's holistic
Yes.
family. And it's not just for the parents, the child, everyone in between. So that is wonderful. So again, if you need to get in contact with Sharon, you can go to her website, www.fittoflee.com, or email at sharon@fittoflee.com. So thank you so much for all of your time, your energy, your expertise, the positive energy that you shared with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been a joy and an honor to spend this time with you.
And thank you for having me.
Yes, it's been
And
such
shout out to
a
my
pleasure.
family. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to my husband, Chris, and my daughter, Taylor, and my sons, Christopher and Jackson. I love you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So thank you, family. Stick around. We have some free resources for you coming up. I have the updated 2024 success guide to world schooling. It's at www.embraceyourfree, and we will be seeing you soon. Okay, family, take care. So I'm going to pull that up really quickly, and we will be out until next time. Okay.